Now, it's coming up to Christmas, a little bit of a feel-good question, this one. So, we're going to enter into 2021 soon, and we've got the vaccine coming through strong. So some light at the end of the tunnel there. I'll refer to Vita's question about Brexit and what's the opportunity there and how can we embrace that opportunity. So hopefully we've got deal or no deal, but we've got Brexit giving opportunities, shall we say. But what should businesses be most cautious of from both a technology and market perspective, right? So I'm going to ask all of you for this question just to round up. Tugce, we're with you. Why don't we stick with you on that? What are the things that, it's all looking good, but what caution should we step with?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm the optimist here. We always look at the upside and what can go well and try not to worry too much about what might go wrong, but it's a good question. I think the main thing that we are still seeing is with the whole, vaccination, actually taking a step back, the U curve about French Revolution. French Revolution didn't happen when the conditions were the worst. It actually happened when the wealth started increasing, but the people's hopes were increasing and raising faster. And there was a gap between the expectations, what people can actually get versus what they actually got, right? And I'm seeing a very similar situation right now with COVID. People are bored and sick of it. Vaccination is not catching up fast enough, but people feel like, okay, we are done with it, right? And as a result, we are gonna have a very difficult quarter 1 where people are just not willing to sit at home anymore and wait. And, the vaccination is not gonna show impact fast enough. And a lot of our customers are the world's largest consumer companies. Our conversations indicate that they're all bracing for a very difficult Q1 that can start actually putting some recessionary pressures. So we are all basically bracing ourselves for that. Hopefully come June, July, when things are going to catch up and we actually will be able to resume our lives, things are going to get better.
Okay, so a little bit of hope in there, but expect a bumpy ride first. Will, what about you?
Cool. I'm a natural pessimist, so yeah, good counterbalance. But yeah, I think the interesting thing is maybe similar to the point of the French Revolution is things don't necessarily happen at precisely the point where the exact change occurs. It only happens when everything is filtered through and really come to fruition. We know that we're going to have a kind of vaccination program which rolls out at some point. We know that we're going to start to see returns to normality at some point in the next year. But actually, how many businesses will there be where even an 80% return to high street traffic or an 80% capacity in your restaurant actually puts you on the wrong side of your thin profit margins? So even though we've had a bumpy ride this year, from a commercial point of view, I think there are going to be a lot of businesses facing very, very strong challenges next year, and are going to need to keep on fulfilling this, keep on feeling the same sort of pressure to innovate and pressure to change that we've seen this year. Even though it may not seem as much of a public health crisis, it will absolutely still maintain that strong pressure to innovate and grow out of it.
Yeah, and I think some of those things are interesting, but I don't know. I mean, you're a natural pessimist, you say, but I heard a bit of hope in there, Will. I think I think things could get better, couldn't they? It's not all doom and gloom for those businesses. Maybe what they need to do is just keep doing some of the innovative things they've been doing during the more lockdown periods.
Absolutely. I mean, from an as you said before, you can phrase things in two ways. It's a challenge, but it's also, of course, a massive opportunity. From standing from the viewpoint of a company which is involved heavily in that disruption, in that innovation, I feel incredibly positive about us. I feel incredibly positive about industries being able to adapt and kind of find opportunity in this. But it's certainly not going to be a universal message of good news.
Ben, what's your thoughts on this one? All doom and gloom, or all looking bright and breezy?
I'm a natural pessimist as well. I'm sorry. I think
Anna and Ed, I'm coming to you in a minute. I hope you're optimists. We need a bit of brightness here, right?
I mean, just as the nature of kind of what I spend a lot of my time worrying about, I think just to the points we were talking about before around GDPR and information security, I think it's it just continues to be, if you get it wrong, reputational damage that can't be undone. I think that, just as the innovation is going, we've got to be really cautious about doing it very responsibly. There's a lot of people around, fraudsters trying to, look at everything that people are trying and trying to find any ways to exploit them. And so I think that, the risk management side of things, while these, great innovations are happening, is equally important.
I think that's true. I think also as things return to normal, people will start to relax a little bit more, companies and people, and how they approach things. And so I think, that's the time when we've got to be extra vigilant. And also, I think everybody got a bit of a buy during the major part of COVID. It's like, oh, we're in the middle of a pandemic, cut them some slack, right? As we start to come out of it, we can't hide behind that anymore. We've got to be on our game, right? Anna, what do you feel about that?
I think the one thing if the businesses need to be cautious about is resisting the temptation to go back to what they perceive as the comfortable old normal. I do believe that, particularly for the younger generations, this is a life-changing event for a lot of people. People's ideas about where they should stay, where they should work, how they should get entertained, where they should eat out, where they should eat in, everything has taken a shaking this year, right? A big bit of a shake-up. People, our pre-COVID e-commerce revenues were 20% of the retail sector. It's now shot up above 30%, and it's sort of stabilized at 30%. That's in 1 year, more than 10 percentage points growth. I don't think people are going to go back to the old world. And any business that approaches 2021 as, okay, vaccines here, everything's back to normal, and buy, even if I can somehow hold on to the commercial risks for 6 to 8 months, and things are going to back to normal, and then I'd be fine. I think that's going to be a really bad position to take. So that's the caution. It's funny. I'm actually very optimistic. I'm optimistic that there are very positive changes that will come out of this. And the only thing that businesses need to worry about is forgetting that and trying to crawl back to the comfort blanket of a known normal, which is my point.
I've just been notified by BBC News app that Boris Johnson has arrived safely in Brussels. So on that particular note, does that mean that 2021 is rescued? Is all good now, Ed? Are we done there, or?
Well, I mean, they'll try and put something together, but it's all sort of irrelevant. They've built the lorry parks, and everything that's going over to Calais is going to be they're going to be filling out forms, and what should have been a roll-on, roll-off thing is now a 10-hour journey. So it's suboptimal. I mean, I am a pessimist as well, in the sense that I feel to a certain extent the economy is like, one of those cartoon characters that's run off a cliff and is still, the legs are still kicking. I think there's a lot of hidden unemployment, and quantitative easing and so on has kept us going through the pandemic. But Rishi Sunak is fighting this constant struggle, with the sort of devil and angel on his shoulder, desperately trying to kind of produce a budget that will start to get the economy back to balance, and constantly being buffeted by people saying, no, you cannot stop furlough now, and so on and so forth. At some point, it seems to me, there has to be a reckoning. So I think that's the first point. The second point is trade wars. So I think we should not underestimate the fact that what Trump started with China isn't going to stop with the end of Trump. It'll continue in some shape or form with Biden. And I think we will see a much more fragmented, kind of new Cold War between China and the countries who are under China's influence and the West. And that is centered on technology. That is a digital war with a splintered internet, which I think is going to have serious repercussions for trade going forward. Okay.
Well, there we go. 2021 hopefully shaping up to have a little bit of happiness for us all, but our panel of experts all giving us a few words of caution. It's been a really interesting session. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for engaging. And audience also, thanks for some of the questions and points that you've submitted. I know we didn't get to them all, but really nice to know that we're not just talking to ourselves here, although it was quite a pleasant conversation amongst ourselves. I'm going to hand back to Chris now, if that's okay, but thank you very much, panel.
Cheers, David. Yeah, look, thanks everyone again from the speakers. Really engaging conversation. Thanks everyone who tuned in this evening. Appreciate it's December. We've got Christmas parties and things to do this evening. So this is going to be distributed across all our platforms thereafter. So we'll send out a notification when this is live for you to kind of watch back if you want to. Yeah, have a great Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you in 2021.